provided by Thomas Allgaier and Frennis. Based on the most relevant posts on LinkedIn about go-to-market in CW 2425, Frennis is a B2B market research company working with enterprises to optimize their campaigns with account and executive insights far beyond AI. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are really digging into the top go-to-market trends. We've seen a lot buzzing across LinkedIn these past couple of weeks, calendar weeks, 24 and 25 specifically.
Yeah, definitely. It feels like everyone's trying to figure out how to navigate this shifting landscape in B2B marketing.
Absolutely, and understand where that growth is really coming from now.
That's right. And Thomas Allgaier, in his summary, kind of nailed the core theme. It's a big strategic shift happening.
Okay.
We're seeing a move away from those, high volume, almost generic tactics.
Right.
Towards much more precision, more value, and this idea of continuous alignment. Think less about standalone campaigns and more about an integrated GTM system. AI is a huge part of that, obviously, and it's all focused squarely on the customer.
Okay, let's unpack that. Because integrated system, that feels like the thread running through our first big theme here. This evolving GTM strategy and the absolute need for alignment inside organizations.
Yeah.
It seems like leaders are genuinely rethinking their whole market approach, aren't they?
They really are. The days of just, throwing spaghetti at the wall, and they seem to be over. We're definitely seeing this shift. Precision-driven, segmented GTM approaches, very tightly linked to ARR goals, and also linked to where the product is in its life cycle, its maturity.
Okay.
And new GTM frameworks are popping up. They really emphasize clarity in the buyer journey, much tighter links between the sales motion and the deal size, the ACV.
Like the motion to ACV alignment.
Exactly. And just rationalizing the revenue models to fight back against those rising CAC costs, the customer acquisition cost inefficiencies.
And it's not just talk, is it? People are actually building these things out. Sangram Vajri, for instance, he talks about building GTM operating systems.
Yeah, that's a fascinating concept.
What does that actually mean, an operating system for GTM?
Well, think of it like standardizing decision-making. So scalable systems across different personas, different platforms, different market stages. It gives clarity on the problem you solve, the product fit, the platform fit, adapting as you grow.
So operationalizing GTM, really.
Precisely. And Laurent Decroux, he really hammers this home. He says the GTM phase, that's the make or break point for most startups, stall or scale.
Yeah.
It's less about having some static strategy document and much more about, agility, moving quickly.
So if companies are stalling, what are some of the big mistakes people are pointing out? What's going wrong?
Well, Luis Fernandez, he flags a really common one. SaaS companies often have mismatched GTM models.
Mismatched. How so?
It's not usually a lack of demand, he says. It's a motion problem. So maybe you're trying to close small deals using a really heavy, expensive enterprise sales process. Or you're trying to scale up PLG, product-led growth, but you haven't built the right infrastructure underneath it. His point is, GTM isn't just a sales thing. You've got to match your motion to your ACV and the complexity of the sale itself.
That makes total sense. Calibrating the engine for the specific job. Daniel Zalt-Rennie adds to this too, right? He points out how fragmented plans hurt things.
Yeah, exactly. When each team creates its own little siloed strategy, an SEO plan here, a social media plan there, totally separate, it actually drags down revenue growth.
Right.
He's pushing for a single, aligned execution plan right from the start, seeing the buyer's journey as just one continuous path, not chopped up bits.
And this alignment thing, it's not just about the strategy docs, is it? It's about the people.
Oh, absolutely. Bill Dwoinen, he references Mural's research, says misalignment within GTM teams is a huge threat. It literally fractures the customer experience and tanks business results.
Wow.
It's not about lack of effort, it's about true sync. And Piyush Dibamari totally agrees. He says GTM doesn't fail in the PowerPoint deck. It fails in the team meetings, the missed handoffs, the ego clashes even. Things like team dynamics, who you hire, fostering a learning culture. These are really underrated GTM levers, he argues. It's the people who make or break the execution.
So, okay, the takeaway is strategy is crucial, but the human side, the internal sync, that's the engine. Tyler Calder at PartnerStack, they saw big growth by getting marketing, sales, and partnerships all aligned.
Right, using data. They had an ICP scoring model as their kind of North Star, their source of truth.
It really sounds like everyone just needs to be singing from the same hymn sheet, basically.
Definitely. Which brings us neatly to the next massive topic.
AI.
Yes, AI. Can't avoid it.
Nope. It's not experimental anymore. It is deeply embedded. We're seeing it across marketing, sales, GTM orchestration, everything from GPT enhanced segmentation to video automation using tools like VEO3. Layla Beswick even predicted that the CMOs who invest in AI training and really deploy agentic AI use cases.
Agentic AI, meaning AI that can act more autonomously. Yeah, AI that can make decisions and execute multi-step tasks to hit a goal. She says those CMOs will win in their market.
Okay, so AI is foundational now, but surely it's not all smooth sailing. What are the challenges, the sort of bumps in the road people are finding?
Oh, for sure. Executives are definitely sharing lessons learned. Things like the complexity of actually deploying AI effectively.
Right.
The risk of just churning out generic bland content.
Right.
And the fact that you still absolutely need human critical thinking, even with all this automation. Kuhn Stam talks about this quite pointedly. He calls it the dark side of efficiency with AI.
The dark side.
Yeah, basically, AI often ends up just scaling processes that were already broken rather than fixing the root cause. And, efficiency doesn't automatically mean effectiveness.
Good point.
If your sales reps don't even retain what the AI writes for them, what value are you really scaling? His advice is, don't just have an AI strategy. Embed AI into your GTM strategy. Start where the friction is, where the waste is.
That's a really important distinction. Elena Zapp echoes that too, doesn't she? Differentiating between basic and strategic AI use.
She does. She says basic GTM in 2025 is maybe just having an AI agent or sticking some AI on your website.
Okay.
But strategic GTM in 2025, that designs the whole GTM approach around actual human problems first, and then aligns the teams and uses AI as a tool to create real customer impact. AI serves the strategy, not the other way around.
Right, the tool, not the whole toolbox.
Exactly. And this thinking leads directly to this increasingly talked about role, the GTM engineer.
GTM engineer, okay, tell me more.
Carlos, or Carlo Samitis, explains it well. He says the GTM engineer builds the systems that connect sales, marketing, and operations. The goal is faster, less wasteful movement for the teams.
So they're not building the product itself?
No, they build everything around the product. Think clean CRMs, effective lead scoring, smart automations, useful dashboards, critical integrations, the plumbing, essentially.
The architects of the GTM tech stack, then. Long even mentioned that while the title's new, the function has roots in RevOps, right?
Yeah, he points out RevOps folks have been doing parts of this, but the tools available now and the depth required, that's what's changed. Companies are hiring them, he says, because better systems drive growth, not just throwing more people at the problem.
Makes sense. And Bill Stathopoulos really drives that point home about efficiency.
He does. He argues that in loads of startups, BDRs are spending maybe 70% of their time on admin tasks, not actually selling. Why? System problems, he said.
So 15%, wow.
Yeah, so he suggests bringing in a GTM engineer to optimize that whole outbound process, pulling in buying signals automatically, cleaning up lists, routing the best fit leads straight to reps.
So freeing up sales to actually sell.
Precisely. And Yusuf Murad, he makes a pretty bold claim. He says SDRs were designed for a world where manual outreach was how you scaled pipeline.
Okay.
But today, systems can do a lot of that better, faster, and cheaper. He thinks an AI GTM system can automate what used to take multiple people.
That's provocative.
It is. Tony Holbein adds that GTM engineering isn't just about being more tactical. It's about creatively connecting tools to actually generate leads and opportunities, driving real impact, not just supporting other functions.
And even people who were initially skeptical are coming around?
Yeah. Will Stevens is a great example. He apparently misunderstood the term at first, but he's publicly acknowledged its significance now, especially seeing how tools like Clay can totally transform GTM processes.
That really shows a shift in mindset, doesn't it? It's moving from just hustling for growth to actually engineering it.
Exactly. And we're seeing practical tools emerge, too. Liza Adams built an AI model advisor for GTM.
What does that do?
It helps marketers and sales reps figure out which ChatGPT model is best for specific tasks they need to do. It addresses that complexity of choice.
Very practical.
And Reina Shrivastava, also known as Kiati, she shared this 5-step framework, a deep research sprint. She used AI to sharpen up a GTM strategy in less than 72 hours.
Wow, 72 hours.
Yeah, proving that AI can accelerate and enhance human strategic thinking, not just replace it.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's pivot to client-centric growth. That seems to be another huge focus area.
Definitely.
The Momentum ITES SMA Rethink event in London really highlighted this. Lots of familiar names were there. Layla Beswick, Laura Sefton, Tamara Williams, Kelly Russ, Virginia Mateva.
Yeah, that event clearly put the spotlight back on positioning GTM around what buyers actually need, rather than just internal company agendas.
Seems obvious, but maybe easily forgotten.
Perhaps. Layla Beswick pointed out, look, the The customer has always been at the center. Buying behavior shift, sure, but that core focus shouldn't. What's really interesting, though, came from their client buying index.
Oh, yeah. What did it show?
A really sharp drop in how much buyers trust providers.
A drop in trust. That's significant.
Huge. And alongside that, a growing reliance on thought leadership all the way through the buying cycle. Get this. Buyers now only have about 1.8 trusted providers on average.
1.8. That's incredibly low. Down from what, roughly?
Down from significantly more just a few years ago. It really underscores why message relevance and engaging buyers early is so critical now.
That 1.8 stat is really sticking with me. It totally changes the game. Makes sense that brand and thought leadership become even more vital then.
Exactly. Tamara Williams, her big takeaway from that Rethink event was precisely that. You have to influence buyers much earlier in their journey because of this trust deficit.
And brand isn't just about awareness anymore.
No, it's being discussed as a board-level asset now, valued not just for making noise, but as a conversion engine, a trust builder throughout the funnel. Aggie and Thibodeau and Amy Kernow talked about this at the event, how to turn thought leadership into actual impact.
Right.
It needs orchestration, internally and externally, and it has to speak directly to what clients actually care about. And Kelly Russ added that buyers expect relevant value in every single interaction, not just as a closer at the end.
So with trust being so precious, how does account-based marketing ABM fit in? Laura Sefton shared Node 4's experience at the event.
Yeah, ABM is still super critical, especially for engaging those high-value clients where the sales process is complex, personalization, orchestration. That's where ABM shines.
But it's evolving, too.
Definitely. It's being seen less as a campaign tactic and more as a continuous capability, something embedded across content, sales, even customer success, to really strengthen that whole life cycle engagement.
Okay.
Milena Ferrari and Dr. Olga Gregory both stress that ABM's success hinges on ongoing orchestration and really deep cross-functional teamwork. And Wouter Dieleman even gave some clear benchmarks.
Oh, yeah. Like when ABM makes most sense.
Exactly. Generally, he suggests it's best suited for businesses with an ACV, annual contract value, of $50,000 or more, and sales cycles that typically last 3 months or longer.
That's helpful. Clear parameters for people listening. Ocean Lee also touched on this challenge of reaching informed buyers, didn't she?
She did. How do you win over customers who've already done their homework? They've checked Reddit, G2 reviews, maybe even asked ChatGPT for advice before your sales team even knows they exist.
Right. Ross Simmons pointed out Reddit specifically.
Yeah, he said Reddit is now firmly on the buyer's journey for getting those unfiltered peer insights. Apparently, it even ranks above YouTube in U.S. searches for software reviews now.
Wow. That really highlights the challenge of building trust in what he calls the invisible 80% of every B2B deal, that part where buyers are researching anonymously.
It does. And Lawrence Nees is actively working on this trust problem in GTM. He defines trust as the likelihood of achieving a desired result based on competence, reliability, integrity, and alignment.
Interesting definition.
And here's a provocative thought from him. He suggests AI might actually become more trusted than Google for buying decisions soon, making AI effectively part of the buying committee.
Whoa, AI on the buying committee. Okay, let's shift to partnerships. It seems like there's a real renewed focus there, too.
Definitely a resurgence.
Blah.
B2B execs are looking at the giants, AWS, Salesforce, Microsoft, and seeing how partnerships fuel their scale.
Using them as blueprints.
Absolutely. The discussions we saw highlight this strong comeback for partner-led GTM motions. Those big companies show how you can build durable scale through co-selling, through channel networks. Ecosystem collaboration is driving a lot of GTM innovation now. Partnerships are becoming core growth engines, not just, nice-to-have add-ons.
So a core strategy. But Rob Moyer mentioned it's often overlooked, especially by startups. Why is that?
He thinks it's because it's not a quick fix. It's not a hack. It takes time, commitment, and the results don't always follow a nice, neat, straight line.
Right, it requires patience.
Exactly. But, he argues, it builds trust way faster than cold outbound emails ever could. And it creates growth that's more durable, more distributed. It just demands that long-term view.
Makes sense. But there are pitfalls, too. Clive Butkow had a warning.
Yeah, a crucial one for founders. Be really careful about signing exclusivity agreements with partners, distributors, or even investors early on. It can really limit your options down the road.
Good advice. We also saw Melanie Eckel join Mason recently.
Right, to drive GTM and partnerships there. They're using Unified API to help SaaS companies grow faster by making integrations easier and cheaper. It's a perfect example of partnerships being baked into the technical solution itself, accelerating revenue.
Okay, final theme. optimizing for speed and efficiency in this new GTM era.
Yes, the pace of GTM. Todd Busler had some strong points here. He argues that speed is critical in sales. Most teams don't lose to competitors. They lose because they're just too slow.
Too slow. Ouch. Does he offer solutions?
He does. 4 practical levers to inject speed. 1, ditch scheduling follow-ups for next week. Aim for 1-2-day turnarounds. 2, follow up the same day you have a meeting.
Okay.
3, send updates even if nothing major has changed, just to maintain momentum. And 4, if you have a new idea, test it immediately on the very next call. Don't wait.
Very actionable advice. Amit M. also champions speed, especially early on.
Yeah, he says for early-stage launches, founders need guts and a Google Doc, more than some fancy, expensive GPM strategy.
Ah, love that.
His point is, move fast, get feedback, pivot quickly. He apparently made his first $10,000 before he even had a website, just by talking about the problem publicly and selling directly from a messy Google Doc. Speed over polish.
Always good advice for startups.
Exactly. And Jonathan Moss, he connects this back to the bigger picture. Declining leads, tanking conversions, rising costs. Those are just symptoms, he says.
Symptoms of what?
The real disease, he argues, is running outdated 2020 playbooks in a 2025 world. And just slapping AI onto those old processes, that just automates crappy results.
So what's the cure?
Brutally audit your GTM motions. Be willing to kill sacred cows, things you've always done. And use AI to fundamentally rethink your approach, not just replicate the old ways faster.
A call for radical change, then. Charlie Moss echoes this urgency, right, noting the drop in SaaS growth rates.
He does. Public SaaS growth rates have roughly halved. This underlines the need for what he calls revenue architecture and, again, GTM engineering. The whole growth at all costs era. Dead. Companies now need to treat revenue generation like a disciplined, science-driven system. He calls it a lean revenue factory, not just an art form.
A lean revenue factory. I like that.
It leads to more efficient, more resilient growth. And Kyle Poyar offers practical ways to achieve this with 25 automated GTM plays he shared.
Automation, but not spammy.
Exactly. Yeah. His focus is on targeted outreach, personalized engagement, using data signals. It shows automation doesn't have to mean spray and pray. He sees the future as combining the precision of ABX, account-based experience, the efficiency of AI, and real data from actual experiments.
It all comes back to adaptability, doesn't it? Being willing to change tools and processes. Brian Byler even made a case for HubSpot over Salesforce in certain contexts.
Yeah, specifically for PE-backed companies. He cited significantly lower total cost of ownership, much faster deployment times, weeks versus quarters, and comparable features for many needs. His argument is we're in a new GTM era where less integration, more impact wins. Simpler, faster can be better.
Interesting perspective. And Roman Hep shared better context journey.
Yeah, they struggled initially with just inbound or just outbound. They found success with an all-bound approach.
All-bound.
Basically, building a presence across channels like LinkedIn, YouTube, having a self-serve option, co-creating content with partners, and using intent data for targeted cold outreach. Everything working together toward the same goal, a unified effort.
Very smart. And finally, a reminder about context. Scott Bales made a great point about APAC.
He did. A crucial reminder that APAC isn't one single market. It's a mosaic, he calls it. What works in Singapore might completely fail in Jakarta. Each market needs its own specific playbook. Hyperlocalization is key.
A really important point for anyone operating globally. Okay, that was a fantastic deep dive into the latest GTM trends. If you enjoyed this deep dive, remember new ones drop every 2 weeks. You can also check out our other editions covering account-based marketing, field marketing, channel marketing, MarTech, social selling, and AI in B2B marketing. Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration of go-to-market strategies.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. And as you think about all this, the AI, the shift to client focus, the need for speed and alignment, maybe ask yourself this. In a world where data and systems are optimizing so much, what's the unique, truly human value that you bring to your GTM motion? And how are you actively strengthening that for the challenges ahead?
Great question to ponder. Until next time, be well informed and stay curious. And don't forget to subscribe.